Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a situation that is unfolding right now, but is still dangerously misunderstood by much of the world. What is happening inside Iran is not just a protest cycle, not just an economic slowdown, and not just political pressure from outside. This is a systemic collapse that is spreading through every layer of daily life. And for millions of Iranians, the crisis is already unbearable. On the surface, Iran still appears functional to outsiders. Government officials speak confidently, state media project strength, and the image of control is carefully maintained. But beneath that surface, the country is cracking under pressures that have been building for years, and are now erupting all at once. This collapse is not sudden, but slow and grinding, making it even more dangerous. Protests are no longer rare or isolated. They are happening across the country, from major cities to small towns that were once considered politically quiet. Workers, teachers, pensioners, farmers, students, and shopkeepers are all taking to the streets. These demonstrations are not driven by ideology anymore. They are driven by survival. Many protests begin with a single issue: unpaid salaries, rising food prices, electricity cuts during extreme heat, water taps running dry, but once people gather, the anger expands. Years of frustration surface, and demands quickly move beyond economic relief to open rejection of the system that failed them. Water has become one of the most explosive issues in Iran. Entire regions are experiencing severe shortages that are no longer temporary. Rivers have dried up. Reservoirs are critically low. In some cities, water is available only for a few hours a day. In others, it is not available at all. Farmers are among the hardest hit. Crops fail, livestock dies. Land that once fed communities has turned into dust. When farmers protest, they are not asking for luxury or compensation. They are asking for water to survive. Without it, their way of life collapses completely. Electricity shortages are just as destabilizing. Power outages have become routine. Blackouts last for hours, sometimes multiple times a day. In extreme heat, this becomes life-threatening. Hospitals struggle to function. Businesses shut down. Food spoils. Productivity collapses. The causes of these power failures are deeply rooted. Aging infrastructure, lack of maintenance, fuel shortages, corruption, and years of mismanagement have weakened the grid. Demand keeps rising while the system falls further behind. Temporary fixes no longer work. Economic collapse ties every crisis together. The national currency has lost massive value, destroying purchasing power. Salaries that once supported families now barely cover basic food. Inflation rises relentlessly, erasing savings and making daily life unpredictable. For pensioners and public workers, the situation is especially harsh. Payments arrive late or not at all. When they do arrive, inflation has already stripped them of value. Elderly citizens are now a common sight at protests, demanding dignity after decades of work. Youth unemployment remains extremely high. A generation that studied and hoped for a future now sees no opportunity ahead. Many young people want to leave the country. Those who cannot feel trapped, frustrated, and disconnected from the system. Public trust has nearly vanished. Official statements are met with skepticism. Promises of reform sound empty after years of failure. People judge words against their daily reality, and reality keeps proving the promises false. Security forces are under growing pressure. Protests erupt in multiple locations at the same time, stretching control mechanisms thin. Crackdowns may disperse crowds temporarily, but they do not remove the causes. In many cases, repression only deepens anger. What makes this period especially dangerous is the convergence of crises. Water shortages, electricity failures, economic collapse, environmental damage, and political disillusionment are all happening simultaneously. There is no single solution that can calm everything at once. Inside homes, daily life has become a series of painful choices. Families decide between food, medicine, and utilities. Parents skip meals so children can eat. Medical treatments are delayed or abandoned due to cost. Healthcare is under severe strain. Hospitals face shortages of medicine, equipment, and reliable power. Doctors and nurses are overworked and underpaid. Some leave their jobs. Others leave the country altogether, worsening the crisis. Education is also suffering. Schools struggle with funding and infrastructure. Power cuts disrupt learning. Students face an uncertain future in an economy that cannot absorb them. Hope fades early. Rural areas are emptying out. As agriculture collapses due to water shortages, people migrate to cities in search of survival. Cities are already struggling and cannot absorb the influx. Informal settlements grow, unemployment rises, and social tension increases. Environmental damage adds another layer of danger. Overuse of groundwater, poorly planned dams, and climate stress have caused long-term harm. Even with immediate reform, recovery would take many years. Some damage may be permanent. Internationally, leadership continues to project strength and resistance. But internal collapse weakens any state. Power on paper means little when basic services fail. A government that cannot provide water and electricity loses legitimacy at the most fundamental level. Sanctions have contributed to economic pain, but they are not the sole cause. Many structural problems existed long before the harshest sanctions. Corruption, poor planning, and misallocation of resources hollowed out the system from within. For ordinary people, geopolitical narratives offer no comfort. Regional influence does not matter when daily survival is at risk. People care about clean water, stable power, affordable food, and a future for their children. Fear still exists, but fear is no longer enough to keep people silent. When life becomes unbearable, the risk of protest feels lower than the certainty of suffering quietly. This is why unrest continues despite arrests and intimidation. Despite restrictions, images and videos spread rapidly. Dry riverbeds, long bread lines, dark cities, and angry crowds contradict official messaging. Reality is impossible to fully hide. Families increasingly discuss leaving the country not as a dream, but as a necessity. Skilled workers search for exits. Doctors, engineers, and academics leave when they can. Each departure weakens the country further. Alongside material collapse, a psychological collapse is unfolding. People stop planning for the future. Marriages are delayed, birth rates fall, investment disappears. When hope dies, recovery becomes far more difficult. Leadership faces a dangerous dilemma. Reform risks loosening control. Repression fuels resistance. Doing nothing allows collapse to deepen. Every path carries risk and time is running out. This is not a short-term crisis that will disappear with one deal or policy change. It is the result of decades of accumulated failure reaching a breaking point. Systems built without resilience cannot survive sustained pressure. The situation inside Iran is far worse than many headlines suggest. This is not just unrest or hardship. It is a nation under extreme strain where basic functions are failing and patience is exhausted. If water shortages worsen, power failures increase, and inflation continues, protests will not fade. They will grow stronger and more widespread. The question is no longer if instability will continue, but how far it will go. History shows that states often collapse not through invasion, but through internal failure. When people lose access to water, electricity, and food, legitimacy disappears quickly. For now, people endure and adapt day by day, but endurance has limits, and those limits are being tested everywhere at once. This crisis matters beyond Iran's borders. Internal collapse can trigger migration, regional instability, and unpredictable political outcomes. Ignoring it will not stop its consequences. As pressure increases, the world will be forced to pay attention. What happens next will depend on choices made under extreme conditions by both leaders and ordinary people. What is unfolding in Iran today is not just a national emergency. It is a warning of what happens when systems fail and people are left with nothing but their voices.